have more control, it's then relied upon those other people to utilize their control well. And I guess I'm less trusting that people will utilize their control well. Give me just a second.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm not saying that a community's got to, or any platform or anything like that, it's got to evolve. And that means the development of mechanisms and more refined mores so that, like, I mean, I started doing recently something I wouldn't have done before, which is I started deleting certain kinds of trolly comments just right away, not even considering leaving them up because, oh, well, Eric, you really shouldn't suppress expression or whatever. I started deleting them because I realized I'm affording negativity too much room to fuck with shit. It's that people, what I had to come to accept is that people are gullible. I'm not gullible. And so I forget that when people read shit and they don't understand it as an argument, they understand it as possibly true or something. And so when they hear a lot of shit that's being repeated and it's bad shit and it's false and it's bad argumentation, that doesn't mean they think less of the person necessarily that's saying it, and they condemn the person who's saying it because of their bad argumentation and bad use of discourse. They accept some quantity of the actual message as part of their experiencing of it and internalize that as well. So I don't like having misrepresentations or trolly bullshit pouring mud into the water like that. And so I just started deleting them. It's more important that discourse itself be respected than it is that their right to discourse be respected. And so it's a change, it's a change from in how I approach things. It's a change from an idealism that was shy of accurate to an idealism that's more accurate. And that's what happens as communities evolve, as I evolve, as my thinking and my experiences caused me to develop in my own understandings of reality. Then things change. I mean, I've always said for a long time now, this is a identity optimization machine, and the identity that's optimizing more than any other is mine. I think it works for everybody, but I think it's working most for me.
Yeah, I think sometimes people don't view sort of these community or interactions as almost like organisms in a way, and I use that term abstractly, but it's like there's sort of like a lifespan or like an evolution that it goes through, where it's like, you talk about you starting to delete trolley comments or stuff like that. There's I think starting with things being more open, or just allowing that space for negativity or whatnot, that's more indicative of the earlier states where you just sort of putting your feelers out and seeing like where this thing goes. But then once an identity starts to form and you start to realize the confines, or the boundaries of what works and what doesn't, of course that's more particular to you or even the people that are surrounding you in that case, or in the community. I feel like as an identity starts to form, or a message starts to form, or a direction starts to form, you're gonna come at odds with more people more frequently, not just in general, but because you're coming up with a specific direction or sort of a thing that we're about or something like that. So I think then the issue becomes, it's like, well, then how do we stay open in the same way? And I feel like it's more sort of what stage of that evolution do you want to remain at?
Well, I think the point of deleting trolley comments, one of the impacts of it is I'm saying basically, if you want to troll, come get on the camera and mic and try to troll. Because there, you have to be accountable for yourself a bit. It's like, if you're going to have to face up to the reality that you're talking to a human being, and you're a human being too. And if I'm being honest and direct with you and calling bullshit on the right things, and you're trying to troll, that's going to fall apart real quick. It's not going to work for you very well. Whatever you think you're getting out of it, you're going to start to feel pretty foolish pretty quick, because you're in a group of human beings and another human being, and all of a sudden you're there just to cause displeasure to the other members of the people who are there. Then it's hard to sustain the idea that you ought to be there hanging out. And if you are simply like malevolent in that regard, well, then you have to reveal your face and be malevolent publicly. You can't do it anonymously. So that works, but it doesn't work in the comments. So I'm just going to delete those things and not even think twice about it. And in general, this has made me be a lot more willing to be autocratic. I don't need to explain myself. People get that I'm fair. I don't need to put the cart before the horse. So
I think sometimes people will get the sense that you're not being fair.
There will always be someone.
Well, I'm talking more specifically within the community, that somebody might decide that he's being unfair, and that's where I think it's important that you respect the right to discourse more. Or maybe I don't want to.
It depends.
I don't necessarily. I'm trying to be careful, because I'm not wanting to say the wrong thing, or something that's contrary to what I'm trying to convey, which is that the people who are involved are the people that are part of the sort of identity, as I related earlier. Sort of the thing that helps the larger identity of the group, like all the different people taking part in it. Sort of in order for that identity to remain, you need those smaller pieces at play.
It's supposed to, in other words, the community is sort of supposed to allow you to always meta up if you want and analyze whatever it is we're doing here at the moment. So in other words, if you're arguing, it almost always is going to meta up to not the thing you're arguing about, but instead how you're arguing. And then it might meta up once more from there to be about how you keep arguing about how we're arguing instead of what we're arguing about. So that's supposed to be the general rule here, which is that you can always meta up and out. But there are some things in which case the discourse ceases to be meaningful if the person's not dealing with you honestly. And that's really the basic thing with trolling, is that discourse is meaningful because it's addressing people's honest manifestations of self through verbal representations of those things as arguments. And then if they're not representing their actual positions on things accurately, they're just wasting everybody's time, and they're just abusing the system. So it's an honesty thing more than anything else. And as long as the discourse is honest, then I think there's no reason not to allow it to go forward in general. The problem is, when we're dealing with dishonest people, how do we react to that? And that's the takeaway is for me from this whole experience is stop affording dishonest people the benefit of the doubt, because by definition they're dishonest and they don't deserve it. So I'm gonna go get some candy. Today on Candy Monday, we'll be enjoying watermelon rings and dried apricots.
See, he's not just sucking down Jolly Ranchers because I'm assuming your woman either procured those or made those.
Well, my woman works at Sprouts, which is a grocery store.
Okay. I thought maybe it was like a daycare and she was just stealing it.
No. And I made dinner for her son, and her son's friend the other night. So I went to Sprouts to purchase ingredients. While there, I stocked up on treats for myself to keep here. Got these watermelon rings. Got equivalent size box of apple rings, apricots, gummy bears.
There you go.
There's a refrigerator here.
That's new.
It's called Living Large.
Cold drinks. Luxury.
Cheese. Most importantly,
Oh yeah, you couldn't have cheese. Well, real cheese.
Yeah, I didn't have any cheese at the house. Now I got cheese here. I bought cheese and sparks too.
Life improvement.
They're pretty good.
Cheese doodles.
I mean, this is pretty sweet. This is like a real house. Are you guys eating enough candy?
I think our camera.
You look like you might be getting a big candy deficient.
Candy deprived. I have candy, just not eating it right now.
Okay, Susie. Well, I'm glad to hear you at least have some. I want you to try to increase your candy consumption by about 25%, though. All right? You're wasting away from lack of candy. Can you too? See that dark circles under your eyes? That says not enough candy to me. Jesse, you can barely even get out of bed. Why? Not enough
Look
candy.
at her, she's eating.
That's not candy. That's a salty treat, not a sugary treat. All right.
Is her camera frozen for you?
I don't
Is her
have
camera
any
frozen for
chocolates here.
Jesse's.
Thanks for watching Talking with Fan People. That's what this video was about. Random talk.
Oh, okay.